The rain hammered the city like it wanted to wash every regret clean, but it only made the filth shine darker. I'd taken the long way home from the late shift at the bookstore, avoiding the bright main streets where holiday lights mocked everyone who walked alone. The alley behind the derelict train station was a shortcut I'd sworn off months ago after a guy tried to sell me protection at knife point. Tonight the shortcut chose me. I almost didn't see him. A blue tarp, ripped at one corner, flapped weakly against the brick like a dying bird. Beneath it, a shape too small to be threatening, too still to be sleeping soundly. Just another shadow in a city full of them. My boots splashed through the deepening puddle and I kept moving, until memory caught me by the throat. The way his left shoulder always dipped lower when he was exhausted. The faint scar on the knuckle of his right index finger from the night we tried, and failed, to fix my grandmother's old rocking chair. I stopped so suddenly my momentum carried me forward another step, boots skidding on wet concrete. Ryan? The name felt foreign in my mouth now, like a password to a door I'd long since bricked up. His head snapped up with the violence of someone expecting violence. The hood fell back just enough. Rain streaked through matted dark hair that used to curl at his nape when it got too long. Those hazel eyes, still the same impossible mix of green and gold, widened, then shuddered. He didn't speak at first. Just stared like I'd walked out of a dream he'd been trying to forget. "You're not supposed to see me like this," he finally said. Voice rough, cracked, like he hadn't used it for anything but begging in weeks. I dropped to my knees before the thought finished forming. Cold water rushed into my sneakers, soaked my jeans to the thighs in seconds. I didn't care. Up close the smell hit me. Wet concrete, unwashed skin, the faint metallic bite of old blood, and underneath it all, the ghost of the cedar and citrus cologne he used to wear. "What the hell happened to you?" He tried to laugh. It came out as a cough that rattled something deep in his chest. "You really want the whole ugly story? Right here? In the rain?" "Yes." He looked at me for a long beat, searching for the lie. When he didn't find one, he exhaled, a sound like surrender. "After you left." I told myself I was better off. New apartment uptown. Better paying gig at the design firm. Even started seeing someone, Sarah. Sweet girl. Patient. His gaze drifted to the overflowing dumpster across the alley. Thought if I kept moving fast enough, the quiet would stop screaming. He paused. Rain dripped from the brim of his hood onto his cheek, he didn't wipe it away. 3 months after the breakup, the pain started. Right here. He pressed 2 fingers low on his abdomen, just below the ribs. Thought it was stress. Ulcers. Bad Indian takeout. Then the weight dropped off. Couldn't keep anything down. Finally went to urgent care because I passed out at work. His voice flattened, like he was reciting someone else's medical chart. CT scan. Biopsy. Stage 4 pancreatic. They didn't even bother with the fight at speech. 6 months, maybe 8 if the chemo was kind. It wasn't kind. My mouth had gone dry. The rain felt distant now, like it was happening in another city. "You had cancer," I said stupidly. "Still do." He tugged up the hem of his hoodie with shaking fingers. A thin transparent tube curled out from under the waistband of stained sweatpants, taped to pale skin, feeding into a battered black backpack beside him. "This is what's left of dignity. Street-grade morphine pump. Some guy in the shelter showed me how to refill it. Costs half a night's begging, but it keeps the screaming inside my head instead of outside." I reached for his hand without permission. His fingers were ice, bones too prominent under thin skin. I sandwiched his hand between both of mine, trying to share whatever warmth I had left. "Why didn't you tell me?" My voice cracked on the last word. "I would have." "That's exactly why I didn't." His eyes locked on mine, fever bright, desperate. "You would have come running." Cancelled the new job in Chicago. Moved back into that shoebox apartment we used to fight over rent in. Sat by hospital beds holding my hand while machines beeped and nurses pretended not to cry. And when it was over, when I was gone, you'd wake up one morning realizing you'd thrown away the second chance you finally earned. You'd hate the version of yourself that stayed for me. I couldn't let that happen. A tear carved a clean track through the dirt on his cheek. Rainwater immediately erased it. I loved you too much to let you bury me, he whispered. The sob ripped out of me before I could cage it, raw, animal, the kind that hurts your diaphragm and leaves you gasping. I dropped his hand only to cradle his face instead, thumb sweeping over cheekbones that used to be soft and full when he smiled at me over morning coffee. Now they were knife edges. You absolute fucking idiot, I choked out. You don't get to decide what I can carry. You don't get to vanish and let me think you just stopped. That I wasn't worth fighting for. That I wasn't enough. He broke then. Shoulders caved inward like someone had cut his strings. A low, keening sound escaped his throat as he folded forward, forehead pressing hard against mine. Rainwater sluiced between us, mixing salt with salt. I never stopped, he rasped. Each word sounded torn from somewhere deep and bleeding. Not for one goddamn second. Every time I closed my eyes I saw you laughing at that stupid cat video we watched until 3 a.m. Every time the pain woke me up I reached for you and you weren't there. That's the worst part, Elle. I still love you so much it hurts worse than the cancer. And I'm still going to die in this fucking alley because I was too much of a coward to let you watch. I pulled him into me then, hard, desperate, arms locking around ribs I could count through wet fabric. He smelled like ruin and memory and home. His frame shuddered against mine, too light, too fragile, like he might dissolve if I let go even for a second. Not tonight, I said into his soaked hair. My voice shook but it held. You're not dying in this alley tonight. He made a small, broken sound against my neck, half laugh, half sob. You can't fix this, baby. There's no third act miracle here. I'm not trying to fix it. I tightened my hold until I could feel his heart stuttering against my chest. I'm trying to make sure you don't do it alone. Not anymore. For a long minute we just knelt there, two drenched ghosts in a forgotten corner of the city, while rain drilled down and sirens wailed somewhere far off. His breathing was shallow, ragged, every inhale sounded like it cost him something irreplaceable. Eventually he spoke again, so quiet I almost missed it over the storm. I kept your scarf. I pulled back just enough to see his face. What? The gray one. The soft one you left on the couch the night you moved out. His cracked lips curved in the ghost of a smile. I wore it every night in the hospital until they made me take it off for scans. After I left, I couldn't let it go. It's in the backpack. Under the spare blanket. Smells like you. Or it used to. Fresh tears burned my eyes. I reached past him, fingers brushing canvas. The zipper was broken, I eased it open anyway. There, folded carefully on top of a thin gray blanket, was the scarf. Damp now, fraying at the edges, but still unmistakably mine. I lifted it out with reverent hands, pressed it to my face. Faint cedar. Faint citrus. Faint us. I kept your hoodie too, I admitted against the wool. The black one with the paint stain on the sleeve. It's still hanging in my closet. I wear it when the nights get too quiet. He let out a shaky breath that might have been a laugh. We're pathetic. Yeah, I said, voice thick. Beautifully pathetic. I draped the scarf around his neck, careful, gentle, like he was made of glass. Then I shrugged out of my coat, wool, still mostly dry on the inside, and wrapped it around his shoulders over the hoodie. Come on, I said. He blinked up at me, confused. Where? My place. It's 10 minutes if we walk fast. Hot shower. Dry clothes. Soup. Bed. No arguments. Elle, his voice cracked again. I'm a mess. I'll ruin your sheets. Your floor. Your life. You already ruined me the day you disappeared, I told him. Everything after that has just been damage control. Let me ruin a few towels. Let me be selfish for once. He searched my face for the catch. Found none. Slowly, painfully, he let me help him stand. His legs shook. I took most of his weight, one arm locked around his waist, the other holding his hand against my chest so he could feel my heartbeat answering his. We shuffled out of the alley together. Rain still fell in silver ropes. Streetlights turned the wet pavement into liquid gold. Somewhere a car horn blared, impatient. Life kept moving. But for the first time in 2 years, mine felt like it had started breathing again. He leaned heavily into me as we walked. Every few steps he had to stop, breathe through a fresh wave of pain. I waited. I didn't rush him. I just held on. At the corner he paused under a flickering street lamp. Turned his face up to mine. Rain traced clean paths down his temples. If I only get one more night, he whispered, I'm glad it's this one. I pressed my lips to his forehead, cold skin, warm beneath. Then let's make it count. We kept walking. 1 block. 2. The city blurred around us, headlights, neon, strangers under umbrellas, but none of it mattered. Because his hand was in mine. And tonight, at least, neither of us was alone.